Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the live match reaction to Everton 1, Southampton 0. Everton finally win a home game in 2021. Took 6 goals to get it right, but we got over the line and we didn't do it easy. It's typical Everton, really, isn't it? We never make it easy for ourselves, do we?
I disagree. I think,
just a goal from Richarlison, really well taken.
the team found it very easy. I just don't think the supporters found it easy to watch. It was edge of seats, like tense ass stuff, wasn't it? Like I don't think the team were under any particular real pressure at any point, other than the one good save from Pickford. I don't think the team were any danger to lose. It was just us as Evertonians were nervous watching it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of them. Why did he do it to us? Why don't he just get a second goal and call it a day?
I know. I think we'd all enjoy if they just pissed it every now and then and just like lashed 3 past someone and just had the rest of the game off. But that's just not how Everton do things. We either have the high scoring games at like the start of the season, or we have these tense affairs. But I was amazed at how bad Southampton were and how comfortable Everton were. Like, as I say, if that ball doesn't ricochet and Pickford makes that save, they don't trouble Everton all night. That was the most comfortable I think Everton players will have felt in any home game this season.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that point, but I think just it'd be nice to get to the 80th minute, the 89th minute without having to bite our nails a little bit. I think, it's a really professional display from the team. I thought they performed really well in terms of, the work rate was excellent. I thought the defending was good. They didn't trouble us that much. Like, the only thing I only recall that one save and then another miss not long before that, and I think that was about it as far as clear-cut chances went for them. I thought I think what I'm really getting at here is not the fact that we were biting our nails right at the end, it's the fact that we didn't get a second goal to kill this game, to be honest, because really we dominated it enough to at least score 2, let's be honest.
Yeah, I think we were unlucky with that free kick. What got ruled out, the Michael Keane header. Not unlucky in the sense of it shouldn't have been ruled out. It obviously should have. He is offside. But I think if we time that better, that still works. It still comes off, and we're 2-0 up and the game's over in the first half. But honestly, it could be a little bit more clinical in front of goal, but I'm not bothered. It wasn't a comfortable watch, but it was probably a comfortable game to play for the players. I don't think we were ever in any danger of losing that game. I just think we were on top throughout, and they had a little spell, Southampton, at the second half of the first half, where they got, after that ruled out goal as it happened, where they came into the game, but I don't think they looked particularly threatening. They just had a little bit of good build-up play. Always fizzled out to nothing.
Yeah, I thought defensively we were really strong. I thought they didn't trouble us at all. I recall this fixture last season, they should have beaten us and they overran us, but there was no such problems this time around. We had a proper strong midfield display. I thought Andre Gomez, I thought plays really well.
Yeah, he did. He was doing both sides of the game, wasn't he? Like his recycling of the ball, his passing's always really good. Like his weight of pass, his vision's always fantastic. It's when he's off the ball that he struggles sometimes, but he was all right tonight. He was doing his bit. I don't think any of the Everton players had a particularly bad game. I think they all had good games in their own way. And I don't think anyone had their best Everton game, but no one had their worst either. Who would you have for man of the match?
Man of the match, I'd probably go for Richarlison. He's bad at the moment. That was the game. Put his usual shift in, of course, as well. And, managed to ride out a number of aggressive challenges as per usual, which the commentators couldn't wait to stick the knife in over that. Yeah, that apparently he's got it coming to him when he gets injured, apparently. But
Can't shout when he's fouled now or make any noise. But I would have given the man of the match. I mean, Richarlison did get it, but I would have given man of the match to Calvert-Lewin. He absolutely bullied their defence all night. He couldn't live with him. The only thing he was missing was the goal.
Yeah, to be fair, Calvert-Lewin's work rate and his threat in the air. I think he won the ball twice in the air in the build up to the goal. So everything about that goal was excellent. Calvert-Lewin winning 2 aerial duels in the space of seconds. Sigurdsson trapped it well, brilliant ball, and then Richarlison took it brilliantly. It was a really, really good goal, and the only moment of real quality, let's be honest, in an otherwise rubbish game for the neutral. But actually, I say that there was one other moment of real magic, and it was right at the end. Alex Iwobi at the corner flag.
Yeah.
I think he's JJ Okocha's nephew, isn't he? And
He
I
looked
think
like
he was. Yeah, Okocha did that himself at one point when he was playing for Bolton, I think. So, obviously, it runs in the family, doesn't it? The winding players up at the corner flag. It's obviously a trait.
I love all that. I've always liked
Yeah.
that when you're holding the ball in the corner when you're winning. I love it. There's nothing that you love more.
Just watching their players get absolutely rattled over it.
But it's the worst when it's against you as well. It's horrible, isn't it? But I love it when it's going for you. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we'll go to the comments because I've just seen a comment come in that I really want to read out. Godfrey had Ings in his pocket all night. Not many defenders in the league handle a little mean as well as our Ben. Yeah, Ben Godfrey has done absolutely brilliantly, let's be honest. Again, like, marshalled the defence. Both Keane and Godfrey were brilliant, as for the large part of the season that they have been as well. Like you say, I don't think there really was a bad performance this evening. Again, like Jordan Pickford, when called upon, did well. Even before that, I thought some of his kicking was as good as I've seen it.
Yeah, Pickford, he had a few, he flapped at a few, but he had a good game overall. Like, his kicking was outstanding, and that save was as good as a second goal. It was just fantastic, the reactions on him. So, we kick him when he's playing badly, but if he plays well, give him all the credit he deserves. He's got us the extra 2 points with that save.
Yeah, I think obviously he shows in the derby over the course of the last 2 games, he's probably won us like an extra 4 points. Probably like wins us both the last 2 games.
Yeah, he's been good. He's not been spectacular. Well, the derby was spectacular with the Henderson save, but he doesn't always have to do spectacular things. It's the fact that he's doing the simple things well at the minute. No goalkeeper's perfect, as I say. He flapped at a few crosses and was a little bit weak on a few corners, but they're really good in on set pieces. They're like, I think they're better than we are for scoring off set pieces.
The level with us.
Well,
11 each.
He's done well tonight, and as you say, the kicking's always been hit and miss with Pickford, hasn't it? Sometimes he's amazing, sometimes he's terrible. Tonight was one of the nights he was amazing. His kicking was outstanding.
Yeah, I think everybody plays well, but I think we start to fight for this, and like we said before, we never do it the easy way, but it's an enjoyable one. We've waited a long time now. Obviously, a lot of people are starting to clock on to how bad we've been at home, and we need to end that run as quickly as we could. We've gone and done it, and that was the most important thing. I think about tonight, as much as I didn't want to have to bite my nails to see us get over the line, the most important thing was getting over the line. I thought you fought well, clean sheet as well. Can't ever go again. You can't ever knock a clean sheet at all.
2 clean sheets in a row, and a clean sheet for that back four. I like that back four. I think that's possibly our strongest back four. I know Yerry Mina's got a very good shout of being in there, but that back four with the clean sheet against, let's be honest, one of the better strikers in the league, Danny Ings, not a bad thing. We can take that into the next game now, and if we can beat West Brom, we've really built up some momentum then, and we can see what happens from there. But I'm happy with the performance tonight. To say, wasn't always a relaxing viewing, but professional performance in my book.
Yeah, really professional. I thought we handled it really well. And you consider it's easy to crumble. How many managers would we have crumbled in this game under? We think about. I think I'd say pretty much every manager before this one.
Yeah, the team's growing, isn't it? It's you don't want to get ahead of yourself, but Carlos said, hasn't he? He doesn't want to have a philosophy or a set way they play. He wants to have a team that's capable of adapting and has a really good base level that can go into games and tweak how they play based on the situation. And that is clearly what we're getting at the
I
minute.
think,
Go on.
yeah, I think that's the best way of managing. I'm absolutely buzzing that he's come out and said that, because I hate these managers who come in and have this philosophy and they never have a plan B, C, D. Carlo's got B, C, D. I think he's got the entire alphabet of plans, I think, to be honest, Carlo.
You need to have good players to do it, and you get more effective at it the better the players are. But if you can be really flexible, yeah, you'll have games then where you're really good in some and you're really, you're different in others, because your level will change based on the opposition, because the way they play is how you play to counter them. But if you can get that bedded in, then the sky's the limit, because then you can take on any team. Then you can't just play one way, and if someone figures it out, you're spanned. It's what's happening to a lot of good teams like Liverpool. They've got one way of playing, and all right, it was the most effective in the world last season. But teams are figuring out ways to beat them.
It happened to Man City last year.
Yeah. And if you can find a way to your style to be, we haven't got a style, we've got a level of playing, and we adapt to our opposition. Yeah, you'll get 10-1 nils against teams like Southampton, but you'll win more than you lose.
I think that's definitely the thing. I think what I love about Carlo Ancelotti is he always keeps his opponents guessing, and in doing so, he keeps us fans guessing when the team news gets released as well. As we know.
With the team news, I haven't been bothered about that for weeks. I'm like everyone else. You look at the team sometimes and go, oh. But then when I saw the team sheet against Wolves away, I was like, we're going to lose, and we're going to lose handily. And we were class. We won the game, and I just vowed ever since then, like, Carlo, take the wheel. I don't know what I'm on about, and he does. So if I ever see the lineup and think, don't really fancy that, I don't think that's the right lineup, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not tweeting it. I'm just going to wait and see what happens, because I'm always wrong and Carlo's more often than not right.
Yeah, Hazard's just said in the chat, something Everton couldn't do before Carlo arrived is grind out wins, big positive. It's crucial. It wins your points all across the season. And, I think, how many points must, Carlo's style of management have won us this season? He might have lost us a few, but he's won us dozens. I'd say 90% of the time he wins us more points with his style of management. Can you imagine going into some of these games with the tippy-tappy, like Silva or Martinez style of play? You're absolutely rinsed.
His style of play, his style of management, it broke a 22-year hoodoo at Anfield, because we beat Liverpool because we set up to beat Liverpool. Didn't go like Martinez did and said, we're going to play our way and then get battered by a better team.
Yeah, we went honest to God.
Played the opposition rather than the occasion. So that's forget how many points he's won as he's broke that hoodoo by the way he manages. A philosophy manager doesn't win that Anfield derby, because he just goes all guns blazing or plays, this is our style, and Liverpool get round it and win.
Yeah, I think these days I'm astonished more managers aren't pragmatic, because, you've got to be a very clever tactical manager, but I think there are a lot of good tactical managers out there, but not enough of them apply that kind of pragmatism to the management. And I just think we're absolutely blessed to have Carlo Ancelotti as a manager, because he's one of the few elite managers who is willing to change things up. I feel like there's too many elite managers now. Even Pep Guardiola's was arguably the best around, and I feel he's too stuck in his ways sometimes. There's time. I feel like there's always a time to try something different if need be. And I just think to have a manager like Ancelotti is just, it doesn't get any better than that, considering where we're at and where we probably do need to change the way we play to suit things. I just think it's absolutely brilliant. I just think it's like I say, it's winning us points all across the course of this season. I'm sure it'll win us a few more between now and the end of the season as well.
Hope so. I'd take that type of match. Another 13. Well, if you include the FA Cup, I'll take that another 15, 16 times, please. And if you get the same result.
Yeah, I was running through the chat. I've got a few people getting involved. Peter Collins said, "Me Sky went and up and went tried to go on Malaysian TV, Tyler and Beglin." Do you know what? I'll be honest. After watching whoever Sky had on, I think I'd have had Tyler and Beglin any day. I thought whoever Sky had on commentary, they were just begging for Southampton to score there, weren't they? They were crying it right in, and you can stick it right.
Well. There was nothing about them. They were just pushing the narrative of the game rather than like commentating on the game itself. Like, yeah, Sky for you, isn't it?
It is vintage Sky really, and like now they can go and suck on it. So there you go. See you later. Yeah, definitely. Paul says Richarlison, man of the match. Get your man of the match out soon. Coming in, guys. Yeah, plenty of. Yeah, Aaron Coomer says Gomez done good tonight. Definitely, I thought it was one of Gomez's best performances this season. Paul's just nailed what I've just said there. Every manager wants to be Pep. This is my way, and my way is the purest way. And I think Pep's is definitely like the one for the football purist, and Pep's an elite manager with an elite team, and you can do that when you've got the best teams. But when you have a team who's still probably like the seventh best team thereabouts in the league on paper, you can't go into every game thinking we're going to play like this. There's going to be teams who are going to wipe the floor with you. I just think it's been absolutely brilliant to see this kind of pragmatism. Just nowhere near enough managers do this, and yeah, I just think there's too many all the time, don't we, about these managers who play football the right way, and then they go and get the floor. Look at Brighton the other day. Look at that. They just got beat one. What they got beat 2-1 off Crystal Palace, 2 shots on target and like 3 touches in the opposition box all the game. And it's just like, show you, who cares about playing the right way? He's just got beat off a team who played horrible football. It doesn't matter. So, who comes away with the 3 points?
If God exists, he hates Brighton. He absolutely hates them. This season alone, they've had a penalty given against them after the final whistle's been blown, and then they lose the game they should have drawn because they'd got a 90th minute equaliser, and then they gave Bruno Fernandes a penalty to score after the final whistle. They've been putting about 40 shots a game against everyone and losing. They've lost their local derby because their derby is Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace, which isn't a derby.
I don't understand that either. But anyway, they hate each other and they lose to a last minute goal like that. We know how that feels, so it stings that. And then they have that free kick chalked off by referee ineptitude. It's just like, I'm sorry, God hates Brighton. He absolutely hates them and he wants them to suffer as much as possible.
Clearly, God doesn't agree that that's playing football the right way.
I know. God is an anti-football.
God his own parks.
Yeah, he's certainly on his side anyway.
Oh, honestly, Paul, again, popping up. Do you think Allardyce will try and pretend in his pre-match that he could deliver what Ancelotti has if given more time? You can guarantee that and more, Paul, honestly, mate.
He doesn't do that then. He'll be doing that on Goals on Sunday in the summer or on TalkSport when he's sacked from West Brom.
Do you mean resigned on medical grounds?
Yeah, when he's not in football anymore, he'll crack on that. If he'd been given the time, he'd be got us like Ancelotti because he's a master of defence. Remember as well, like Simeone. That's how he sees himself.
Those names should never be said in the same sentence ever. Couple of shouts coming in the chat here. Inky Squid King must start versus West Brom. Start King versus West Brom. Yeah, I can see that maybe being the case. Might be a bit of rotation, but
doesn't. I mean, I'm not desperate to see King. With if this
Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are doing well.
They're playing well. I mean, don't get me wrong. I want to see him before the season's over, but there's 15 games, is there? 13?
Time and a place, isn't there?
13 games. It's not a priority to play him from the start. I'm sure we'll see him from coming off the bench and we'll see him starting if need be. But don't forget, we brought him in on a 6-month deal. He's there to cover, and if they think they don't need to use him, they won't. It's like he's there in the event of if he's needed, and if he's not needed, then in the summer you just go, you know what? See you later. We can get someone better. Or if he does well, you go, actually, this was a blinding bit of business. We'll keep you. So I'm relaxed about it. I'd rather not have to use him. I would rather be in a position that we are in, where the strikers are playing well and we actually can't get King in the team.
Love it. Honestly, I just think the way we are with like the sort of when the starting 11's performing, you can't really drop them. And obviously we've had a couple of rests today as well. I mean, we got this result today. Let's not forget without James, Coleman, Tom Davis, plenty of players out.
I think something we've all had to learn is that you just can't believe what Carlo says about injuries. It's just one of his quirks as a manager.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Carlo is like the master of the rude, no matter what the context.
So if he says in the pre-match press conference a few days before that so anyone's fit, I wouldn't believe it. I'd just wait until you see the lineup, because he doesn't do it because he's because things go wrong or he's lying or anything like that. I suppose he is lying. It's clearly a tactic. Alex Ferguson used to do it. And Wenger. It's clearly just a trick that he plays to sort of like send the message to the opposition manager. Oh yeah, we're all fit, or so and so's fit, and then they prepare for those players, and then he pulls one on them. It's worked on Klopp the other day. Klopp said in his interview before the game, he asked directly, Calvert-Lewin and Allen starting, and he went no, and he went, Carlo, you poker face. So that said to me, he's been watching tapes and showing his players tapes of Calvert-Lewin and Allen all week, and that's like, all right, it worked very well in that instance, but I think that's what he's been doing all along. Doesn't help anyone's fantasy football team when they've got James Rodriguez in, but he'll play the second game, so he won't get the double points.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a lot of fantasy football players out there absolutely fuming with Carlo. But that's what he is. He's there to wind. He's just. I reckon Carlo just exists to like wind up football Twitter now. Just between
Twitter, doesn't he? He sees everything you see.
Between just between fantasy football players and winding everyone up with team news. It's just good stuff. Aiden says, not going to lie, Pickford got us the 3 points at the end there. Yeah, I think.
No, Pickford got us the 2 extra points. It was that's Richarlison. I always think of it like that. If that had gone in, it's an equaliser, we still get 1 point. So he's converted 1 point into 3 Pickford. Credit to him, but Richarlison as well. And Gylfi for the assist.
Yeah, definitely. I thought it was a really well taken goal. Inky Squid says, sorry if I've been streaming lately. I've been on schoolwork and on my own content. Well, good to hear that, Inky. Good to have you back on anyway. Hope whatever you're doing is going well, mate. Nick Clark says, definitely a different mindset to the recent home games we lost. Set up similar to an away match, and it worked. Yeah, I thought we were a bit more. A bit more aggressive and a bit more, workmanlike, like the kind of performances we have seen on the road.
He passed the 5-minute test. Did you notice? I mean, when the first 5 minutes, you could tell they were up for it. That doesn't mean they're on it all game, but usually when Everton are going to turn in one of those dab squib, like performances, you always can tell within the first few minutes of kick off, low and they don't look interested, and that wasn't the case today. You could see from the beginning that they were going to approach this game like they do the away games.
Definitely, Aaron Koeman said, Carlo Magnifico. My man in the Strand like a G.
There was a salt and pepper shumai off the butchers.
I love that butchers. But Carlo and Richie walking dogs on Crosby Beach. And Paul said, the stick Richie was getting a month ago, the lad was always going to come through it. Toffee Blues John popping him 5 in his last 5. Is he back to his best? You couldn't really argue with that on that performance, could you? You know,
He's
again,
he's back up front.
there's a
Not
lot
being
of like debate, isn't there? What's his
he's
best
not.
position?
I don't think it's a debate. I think he's better as a forward. Carlo's right. He's not. Carlo said he's not a striker, but I think that's a language thing. What he means is he's not a number 9. There's no point having him with his back to goal, like Dom, and I think that's not what he does. He needs to attack the space, and what he calls him is a left centre or something like that, or a centre left, and which basically means he's part of it. In this instance, he's part of a front 2 on the left, and he runs off the front man. Back in old money, it'd be little and large, target man and a poacher. He's the poacher. He's the one who
Yeah,
feeds off the number 9. He's not the number 9 himself. So that's when he's been playing wide left, he can only go in one direction, can't he? And he's been getting marked quite well. Still working hard for the team, still contributing, but not putting the ball in the net. Moving more central, put him up alongside Dom with either James or Sigurdsson behind them, like 2 strikers and a number 10 behind them. Some other parts of the team might suffer for that, but the forwards love it because he's had 2 goals in the last 2 games from that little through ball from the number 10.
yeah, definitely. And also, with that in mind, what happens when everyone's fit, all things being equal? Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison up top with Hammers behind. What's the setup going on behind then? Is it like a 4-3-1-2 that we go along with, or some kind of
Yeah,
3 at the back? I don't know.
yeah. I reckon that's what we'll do. We'll do the 4-3-1-2. I'm so sorry, I forgot his name. The guy, the Everton fan who's works for Sport Witness.
Wouldn't be able to help you, mate.
Oh, never
Sorry.
mind. I'll find him in a minute. But he basically said a couple of weeks ago, and I remember seeing it, that he read, because he obviously Sport Witness collect all reports from everywhere, don't they? And he tweeted the other day that he saw a report in Italy saying that Carlo wants to move to 4-3-1-2, which is effectively a diamond, isn't it? In the long term, which would basically make a lot of sense because it'd be Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison up front with James behind. But then I looked at that and thought, well, the middle 3, the 3 behind need to do all the work then, because the front 3 are not going to be doing a lot of tracking back, and you need good, full backs to go up and down. So it's worked tonight for us, but I think long term you probably need another right back. Have we been linked to a right back lately? I think we have. And the 3 behind, we've got a lot of centre midfielders. I'd like to see, when all fits, Tom Davis as the 6 and let Allen and Decore either side. But tonight it worked with Allen as the 6 and Decore and Gomez. So I think it is possible to do, but it relies a lot on the fullbacks being the width. And Holgate's a good player, but I don't know whether he'll be able to do that long term. I don't think he's good enough on the ball.
Yeah, I think that'll definitely. I think Holgate's future lies at centre back. I think we definitely the primary position to strengthen in the summer is the right back, and it's refreshing to hear links to the likes of you said who we've been linked with. We've had Adams and Lamptey. I think this week. I think I know which one of them I'd prefer personally, and that'll be Max Adams. If it's a back 4, it's got to be him, I think. But we'll just see how it goes. Obviously, there's been a lot of names linked with Adams, and we'll just see what happens. But he'd be a good addition to this team, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Lamptey's a non-starter for me. Quality player. He's 5 foot, he's 4'10" or something stupid like that. He's a dead little, and he plays as a wing back with a back 3. So he would not be able to play in the back 4. I suppose he would be able to, but he wouldn't be, ideal, would he, to play in a back 4? Just get bullied. Aaron's out of those 2 options is more suited to what we need. I'm not saying they're the only 2 options in the world. There's probably other right backs you could get who might be even better, because Adams is going to cost a lot of money, and Adams is a bit small. He's only like 5'7", but that's a lot bigger than I think 5'3" is what Lamptey is. So that's physically he fits the profile for that. So if it is true that we're in for him, I can see that story about the diamonds possibly being true. But we'll see. It could be another mystery third option. There's other right backs out there who can do that job just as well. But we need successor for Coleman in the summer, and we need a.
It needs to be this summer.
Said it for ages, and I'm not the only one who said it, obviously, but we need a right-back version of Luca Dean, that new player who just goes in and goes bang. That's right-back's boxed off. He's our right-back.
Yeah, we definitely need that, and it needs to be this summer. I think it's the prime position to strengthen in the summer. A few more. Inky Smith says Pickford is solving his own problems, deserves credit. And as you'd imagine, there's constant loving for Ben Godfrey on this stream. Erwin Koeman, Ben Godfrey, another solid performance from Goddard. I think it's one of them. Paul says about the West Brom game, I hope the likes of Keane and Sigurdsson turn up against Alan, as I both have reasons to not like him. Keane's first nightmare season, Sam apparently wasn't very understanding to his struggles. I think he made him play on through a few injuries, didn't he, his first season here? So, I'll be surprised if Keane would like to bag one against them. Obviously, he bagged one against West Brom in the return fixture earlier on in the season, so, maybe bag another one there, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who love to have a cheeky Michael Keane bet, don't they, to score a goal, so I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who'll be open for that. Here we go. Erwin Koeman, should Sigurdsson get a new contract? It's a debatable one, isn't it?
Yes. I think he's
1 year. It has to be, though, doesn't it? It's 1 year extension we need.
I don't think, considering the contracts we gave to Corey and King and James, I don't think we're going to be given long contracts to older players who are on big money. I think it is going to be shorter. But Sigurdsson has proved that he has sufficient value to the team while this manager's here. The manager likes him. Whatever anyone else thinks, Carlo clearly likes Sigurdsson. And Sigurdsson has proved this season that he's not the complete waste of space he was last season. Like he's turned it around somewhat. Now that doesn't mean he's suddenly a top player again. He's suddenly one of our better players, and I certainly wouldn't be giving him no salary increase. But
absolutely not.
No, I think what they might be able to do is, I say what they might be able to. Maybe it's possible that they sit down and go, right, you've got 1 year left on this large amount. How about we spread that out over another year and a half and give you like a 10% increase, but overall, it on the how do you say it? Amortization terms, it's actually we're giving you more money over a longer term, but it's actually less for us because it's spread out so much. So I don't know. That's stuff that we don't really know about. But I imagine there'll be a way that could suit both parties. He gets a longer contract, and the club keep hold of a player who, frankly, regardless of what we think, the manager's got a place for him and a role for him, and that's only going to be more important if we, nearly double our amount of games by getting in the Europa League. We're going to need the likes of Sigurdsson.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be interesting. Sigurdsson will have a lot more of a role to play if this rumoured 4-3-1-2 thing does happen, because he's instantly the next best thing after James for that role.
Well, in that scenario, you're playing 4 central midfielders. Well, 3 central midfielders and a 10, and we've got 3 potential 10s. You've got James, you've got Gylfi, and you've got Iwobi. Carlo hasn't played Iwobi as a 10 once since he's been here, so he obviously doesn't see Iwobi as a 10. So it'd be Sigurdsson would be the only cover for James. So if you're in Europe and you've got a player like James Rodriguez, he's not playing 60 games, 50 games a year. So you're going to need cover. Now, long term, you might look and go, we'll replace the both of them with a young player in a year or two. But short term, I think Carlo's looked at Sigurdsson, and I know all of us think lazy bastard just points his finger, but I think he's looked at him and said, no, he's one of my men, and I can use him, and you've got to just trust Carlo with that. I understand people hate him. I've been in that camp as well, but he's not Schneiderlin. Schneiderlin was a waste of space who needed to get out the club. He thought he was too good for it. Sigurdsson's probably never had a bad attitude. He's just had bad games and bad spells and bad runs of form.
Played in bad roles that he just can't play in.
Yeah, it's like he's the Carlo's sussed out a lot of the bad eggs already, and Duncan Ferguson has as well, and Sigurdsson's still here and still playing. You know what I mean? So he mustn't be one of them. So the way I look at it is, Carlo's been right so far. So who are we to disagree, frankly?
Definitely, I think obviously he's turning so much in the right direction. You just got to roll with it at this stage. He hasn't gone far wrong.
Don't ever play him in a two in midfield. It doesn't work.
No, he's not. He's never ever a number 6. Just please don't ever do that again. Don't do that to me.
You're gonna play him.
Yeah, he's got to be in the 10, hasn't
he? Yeah.
Interesting question here from Inky Squid. When Coleman retires, loses first team football, who should the skipper be?
Got no idea. I've said this before. We all think, well, fans in general think that like every time a player looks commanding or has a good run, and especially if they're English, he could be a captain. The captain, for me, is a completely personality-based position, like status role. It basically is. It depends on what their influence on the rest of the squad is. The captain deals with fines for players and gets tickets for family members of teams. It's very much a serious role. So it's not just about Ben Godfrey. If it was as simple as that, he would be a great captain, throwing slide tackles in and last ditch defending, and he cares and he beats his chest and what have you. But it's not as simple as that. He might not want to do all that. He might be a quiet lad off the pitch who keeps himself to himself. So he can't be a captain and dish out like bollockens and all that. And it's very much personality based. So we won't know who the next captain will be because we don't really know the players. We only see how they perform on the pitch. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd like a captain to be a presence on the pitch. All the best ones are, but you can't just base it on that. It's like asking. It's like saying, who do you want to be your next director of football? You haven't got a clue because you don't know what they do. You think you do because you see the players who come and go. But everything else they do in their day, you don't even understand. It's a very off-screen role, I think, a captain. So I put it this way, I wouldn't have ever picked Sigurdsson, but he seems to get the armband a lot. So he must be doing something that we don't see. And I don't know.
We'll just have to see. But you were talking about getting rid of bad eggs before. Toffee Blues John's just popped up in the chat. Come on then. Anyone else going to mention the sick note who was fit enough for the bench to talk to his City pals the other week and missed the derby and tonight through injury? He's probably the last remaining bad egg for me.
Honestly, it's just been a disaster, him, hasn't he? It seemed like it made sense at the time. Low price, loads of experience, a winner, as it were, and it's just been absolutely shocking. And he's clearly a prick of a fella. He's clearly, and I'm sorry, I'm not one to make shouts about what happens off the pitch because nobody knows. But I would put my life on. He's declared himself fit so he could sit on the bench with his mates and speak to them after the game, and then declared himself not fit again after that because he doesn't want to even be here. He never wanted to be here. He wants to be back at City, but why did he leave City? Pep Guardiola bombs him out. He's a little idiot. The sooner he's gotten, the better. I think in the summer, even if we don't get a taker for him, we'll just pay up the last year of his contract to get rid of him. And we're not.
If we have any sense, I think we would.
We're not in the habit of doing that because it obviously has effects on profits and sustainability rules and FFP and all that, and tax and stuff. I imagine that's why some clubs do it and some clubs don't. We've never done it. We could have done it with loads of players and never did it. But I think we could get him a loan somewhere else, like Walcott. Like Walcott's not the same problem, obviously, because he's all told a good personality. But just shunt him off somewhere else for one last year, so the club who take him go, yeah, we'll have him on loan, and if we don't want him, we'll just let his contract expire at use, and he can become a free agent.
Did the same with Ashley Williams, didn't we?
Yeah, we've done that with loads of players, loan them in the last year. I think we'll find someone willing to take him, maybe at Villa or Leeds or someone like that, and they'll go, yeah, we'll have a look at him, and we'll never, put it this way, we'll never see him in an Everton shirt again.
I hope this is his last season at the club. If we have any sense, it will be. But on a more positive note, anyway, Chris Coolman, Luca Dean for captain. I think we've seen him wear the armband a lot. That's probably to be expected at some stage.
Yeah, the Dean on the eye of the supporter looks like he'd be a good fit because he's done it before. Seems very popular, and he's a top player. He sets an example as well.
Model professional.
So he to the outsider looking in would be preferable to a Sigurdsson, but Sigurdsson gets it ahead of him, so you don't know when Coleman's not playing.
Definitely. Blair said we win more often when Siggy's the captain. Check it. I'll be sure to check it. But to be fair, I can believe that.
It's going to sound harsh. Is this actually more a case of we win more when Coleman doesn't play?
That's harsh, but that's probably true as well. Southern Blue Dino, Delph's been one of the worst signings we ever made. The only use Delph has at Everton is his head being the mirror for Harris to gel his hair.
Absolute little weapon in, mate. I can't wait for him to be
That's an absolute... I'll be honest, that's harsh, but that is an absolute belter of a shout there from Inky Squid. It's great to have you back on the chat anyway, Inky Squid. Like, some great contributions to this chat. Great to have you. He's all getting involved. Obviously, on a bit of a high 2 wins on the spin. Eamon Koeman says, Watford tried loaning in Delph in January, but he didn't want to drop down. Well,
I mean, that wouldn't have solved the problem, would it? Because he'd come back, and they're not going to buy him because what we're basically better doing is just getting to the summer and just loaning him for that last year of his contract, like we've done with every other waste of space who we've tried to get out the club over the last few years, and then we won't see him again. Just absolute little knobhead who isn't an Everton player, never was an Everton player, and is just a failed experiment. For me, that's the only blot on Marcel Brands' copybook. That I'm not saying hanging drawing quarter Brands over it, but you look at Brands' income and transfers, you just think, yeah, that one was just a complete miss.
That's the one real. I know a couple like Iwobi's been a bit inconsistent. Yeah. Keane didn't work out maybe, but that's the only real disaster of a signing. The only thing that saves his bacon there is that it wasn't that expensive a signing.
Yeah, but it's just there's been other ones where you think they weren't value for money or they weren't good, but none of them were as bad as Delph. It will be if we had to sell them, we'd make some money back. Doesn't mean we'll make a profit on them, but we wouldn't take a massive loss on them. Keane, we'll make a profit on them. Delph, we're going to give him away like we've given away everyone else. And he's the only one of Brands' signings who we wouldn't be able to recoup anything for. We just have to give him away because he's a little tit.
That's exactly it, yeah. Joey11 says Man United have been sniffing Brands. I'll tell you what, they need to...
They haven't.
I don't like the sound of that. I don't like the sound of them going around sniffing people. I don't like the sound of that at all.
They haven't because, one, he's about to sign a new contract here. 2, Man United don't want a director of football. Frankly, they've had millions of chances to get one, and Ed Woodward wants to be that man. They won't have one while Ed Woodward's there.
Is Ed Woodward ever going to go anywhere?
No, no. Frankly, Ed Woodward's not going to give a director of football his job, basically on the football side of things, and it's him and Solskjaer. So they could have had bigger, more high-profile directors of football now than Brands, and they haven't took them. So I'm not with that. I'm not saying Brand will stay forever, but he's not going to Man United soon.
Fair enough. Inky Squid says he's heading off. Any final harsh joke requests? Fire away, mate. Whatever you've got for us. Harry says, arise, Sir Michael Keane. When Koeman Brands will sign contract, he's done well for us. Yeah, I think I'd say 4 times out of 5 he's got it right. So that's a pretty good record, certainly. I'd say it's enough to warrant, a contract extension, that's for sure. And hopefully that's a goer. Joey11 says he is signing. Toffee Blues John's quick to get in there. 2 likes off. Come on. Let's get us to 40 likes. Not bad at all. Well, come on.
I mean, you liked it because I'm liking it now. So there's one.
That's a good point. Have I even liked it?
We're on it. You can. I mean, if you don't like yourself, that's fine. But I want you to like me.
Oh, very well. Yeah, I suppose that's an excuse. I'll have to like it now. But yeah, it's definitely a good thing to keep Marcel Brands around the club. In my opinion, I just think it's a
Who's that going?
massive. Yeah, I think it's just.
He's been on the radio the other day talking about him having a new contract. It's going to happen. He wouldn't be doing that if he wasn't about to sign.
4123 says the Brands to United shouts make me nervous. The new deal's agreed. What's the hold up? Lukaku was meant to resign as well. Worried this is Moyes all over again. I don't know about that. I'm not sure if that's.
If on the off chance it happens, it happens. What you do is you go out and try and find an even better director of football. Brands has effectively done one half of his job now. He's got rid of most of the crap. There's only a little bit of it left. So if he wants to get off right, but when it's time to start bringing players in and building a team, then whatever, he could go out there.
I think he'd be foolish.
He would be, yeah, because he'd go to Man United, he'd get probably 2 transfer windows and get binned if it didn't work straight away. He's not gonna. It'd be a disaster for him.
But yeah, Southern Blues, just popped up there. Brands isn't going to United. He has a good year. I think. I think he's very highly rated here, and also I feel like we need to do everything we can to keep him and Ancelotti here long term. That stability that we haven't had for a long time before they both came in.
Yeah, stability is the biggest key. We've literally been walking in a circle for 5 years, just dropping money everywhere. Stability breeds success. So a long spell of the same management, as long as they're good at their jobs, which clearly Brands and Ancelotti are. Keep the stability, build something up, and then you've got a platform. Then, if you ever want to make changes that you can build on top of, there's no point changing your manager and your director of football constantly. You've got to have a level of stability and have a through line of thinking. And then if you want to change in another 3 or 4 years, you go, right, well, put someone in, but they've already got a squad of 20 players there who are all quality, and there's things to work with and you can add to it. Or if you want to sell anyone, they'll make money. Like he inherited the mess. The fella who replaces him, whenever that happens, won't inherit a mess.
Yeah, the good sides, and it shows that he's done a good job. That he'll be, whatever happens. I mean, I don't think it'd be possible to make it even worse, but he's definitely whenever he leaves, he'll be leaving it in a much better state than he found it.
100%, yeah.
Joey 11 says Man United spoiled. Absolutely, agreed. Paul says Ken Wright was telling everyone Moyes was staying, then cried about wanting to see his dog live on Sky after Moyes blindsided them with the news he wasn't staying. But the thing is, what I know he's still the chairman, but Ken Wright isn't really in charge anymore. The club's being run on a much higher level nowadays in pretty much every area.
Brands won't go, and if he does go, we'll bring in a different director of football. He'll come in with a much easier job than Brands had when he came in, and we'll be fine. We've learned. Probably won't put a head scouts PE teacher in this town. Probably look for another director of football, but I don't even think it's happen. The owner's been on the radio saying he's gonna, he's looking at a new contract. I can't imagine it, and especially not to Man United, who literally don't have a director of football and clearly aren't going to have one because they would have had one ages ago if they were.
That's it. Like I said, I think Squiz was on his way out of the chat. He said Ancelotti's eyebrow gets more publicity than Delph's career. So yeah,
works harder than him.
Does, to be fair. It certainly had more ups than Delph's career.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far. His Everton career, yeah, but not his old career. He has won a few things like.
Yeah, but didn't lift himself. Didn't lift himself. De Bruyne's done that for him.
I got a few participation trophies, the little passenger.
It's just. Anyway, he says, "See you later and come on, you Blues." Absolutely. Yeah, it was one of them. Doing things to think about brands. Who do we know could come in and do his job? That does another club as well. Yeah, I can't see this happening, to be honest. Like I've said before, he's done you nailed it before, Terry. He's done the hardest part of his job here now. He's got the easiest stuff lying ahead for him, and the stability now. Like, he'd be absolutely foolish to leave. This will be the summer as well when a lot of our FFP restrictions are lightened, so maybe he could do a bit more spending. I just think that it's the worst time for him if he thinks that's a good time to go. I just think he'd be an absolute fool.
He wasn't, and plus, on top of everything else, he doesn't job hop. He said no to us because his job at PSV wasn't done, and he was there for years before we asked him in the first place. And we had to go back and get him 2 years later when his job was done. His job's clearly not done here. He's only done half of it, and now the fun bit's coming up. He's not going to get off and go, right, I'm going up the road to Man United. He's not going. There's about 3 or 4 reasons we've just gone through already. He won't go. And as I say, if I'm wrong about it all, we'll bring someone else in. We'll go out there. No one thought when we sacked Silva, we get Ancelotti, we could go out there and get a better director of football. Mashiri and Usmanov's influence and money has pulled off miracles before. We're a much better proposition now if we wanted to go out and replace someone that important than we were when we had to replace Silva with Ancelotti. You get them on Usmanov's boat and say to that Monchi, right, you said no a few years ago, how about now? And could end up being... I didn't want to sack Silva, not because I thought Silva was great, but I thought we wouldn't attract anyone better than the state we were in, and we were going to get a reputation as being a sacking club, and no one will touch us with a barge pole, and we'll just be doing this forever. Now, if I'd have been in charge, then I would have made the worst mistake in the club's history because I wouldn't have got Carlo Ancelotti. People worry because they don't know what they don't know. The next director of football could be even better than Marcel Brands, so don't worry about it.
I'll stick to that. Paul says Alan Skinner makes him look rock hard. I like it. A big shout out to Alan as well, of course, if you aren't aware that the skinhead's to do with his son's got alopecia and he's shaved his own hair off to make his son feel better, which is really heartwarming as well. You just love to hear stories like that. So, great to have Alan back as well. Just he's a massive player for us, and it was great to see him back in action. Obviously, the first time I've seen him since he got injured against Leicester in December. So hopefully we see a bit more of him now moving forward. Aaron Koeman says Alan looking like Lee Carsley. And Joey 11 says Hassan Huttle looks like straight out of GTA 4.
What to say about Hassan Huttle then?
Hassan Huttle looks like Koeman in his final days. He looks like he's been sleeping in a doorway in town. Oof. To be honest, that's harsh on people in town. To be honest, I mean, Ronald Koeman is the roughest looking in that Lyon game. Is the roughest looking manager I've ever seen in my life.
I'd say Hassan Huttle doesn't look that bad. Christ, don't think anyone does.
No, I remember Ronald Koeman in the Lyon game reminds me of when Phil Mitchell was at the depths of his alcoholism in EastEnders. It was like another one busted us. It's like that was just Koeman.
Did you just do a Phil Mitchell impression?
Indeed. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And on that bombshell, I think we'll call it a night anyway, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I didn't think I'd be bowing out with a Phil Mitchell impression tonight, but this is the beauty of live streams. Yeah, so keep your comments coming in, guys, even when the stream's over. Thanks for tuning in. And, until next time, thank you for watching on the Toffee Blues. And, up the Toffees, 2 wins in a row, onwards and upwards. We'll see you later.